What's up, y'all? This video, crazy. I was on the stage podcast summit and I talked about how to get a bag with podcast guesting from an agency perspective. So if you're in the podcast space or if you're in the marketing space, you want to learn how to leverage podcasts to get a bag, but not necessarily talking on the podcast. How about building relationships in between the lines? You do not want to miss this episode. Let's get to it. Let's go. Dreams don't work unless you do.
Not public information, sir, okay? There's a gap in here, man. So I'm really excited. I want to get this thing started. So I need y'all to help me welcome three people who represent podcast agencies. So there are people that make money by putting together podcasters and other podcast shows. They also make money from podcasters who want to get more people on their show. So they find the guests to come on your show and you compensate them. Or you can represent the talent and the talent pays them to get on the show of people they have relationships with. But there's a lot of money in this conversation and there's a lot of growth here too. So we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts. So I need you to give a round of applause. Start clapping right now. We got Sean Anthony, Jessica Hurley, and Brendan Boyd. Come on out, y'all. Let's get started. Come on, clap it up.
Just wanna rap me, put it right where they back me. Keep my guns close to me, enemies even closer. Give them the cold shoulder with a hollow tip to match. Bad apple out of the bag.
You on live?
I'm here.
You on live?
Yeah, I'm here. No, we're not live. Just want to get some of the audience out there.
Good. All right. Do me a favor, before we get started, write down one question. Even if you don't have it just yet, be looking for a question in here because there's a lot of information on this stage. So before we get started, I want to have everyone introduce themselves. We'll start here with my brother, Sean Anthony.
What's up, everybody? First and foremost, I'm excited to be here because the what you've created with podcasting is absolutely dope. So let's make a round of applause for Shez and Donnie for putting this together. So what I do, to sum it up, how many of y'all ever heard of like Rich Paul? Agent. Basically, I'm the Rich Paul for entrepreneurship. And so what that looks like is I have exclusive media deals with some of the biggest. You've probably seen some of my clients on Breakfast Club, Way Up with Angela Yee, Apple TV, you name it. And I'm just known for like connections, collabs, and campaigns for like the world's top coaches, influencers, and podcasters. So Hala Taha just spoke. She's one of them, of many people. So I'm excited to be here.
Good. Clap it up. Jessica.
What's up, guys? I'm Jessica Hurley. I'm the founder of Insta Podcast, which is a podcast production agency, and the founder of Epic Media Network, which is a podcast network.
Good. Clap it up. And this is my partner. Like, there's very few people I can nerd out with about podcasting. So, like, we sat in a room, and it was like, I don't know. I just met my best friend at that point. We just podcast. So we're going to get a lot of game. B, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? First of all, I have to agree with Sean. I'm super excited to be here, man. You and Donnie building something incredible. Look at everyone out there. So I just want to say I'm thankful for that. So basically what I do as a digital media entrepreneur, everyone out here, all you business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders, you need more exposure. So I built a podcast agency to connect you with more podcast platforms, YouTube platforms, so you can tell your story, how you help people, and how you make an impact.
Good. All right, cool. So let's jump into this. Sean, one of the best people I know with getting into the room and creating opportunities. So let's say, for instance, they don't have a you in their network or they can't afford you. How would you teach somebody to start making their way through these podcasts and getting different opportunities and getting other people on their show?
I love that question, man. First and foremost, that was me. Podcasting, for those who might not be familiar with my story, podcasting turned into a 6-figure side hustle. I created a show called Schools Over Now What, and I created that show only on the aspect of I was excelling in my corporate life as a brand manager, but none of my friends were. So when you think about connectivity and connections and who you can really be out talking to, start asking for certain people to be on your show, but don't always go for the big wig. Think about who they're hanging with. Think about, like, if you're going for an athlete, who's the trainer? Right? If you're going for, somebody that is an actor, who's on that production set? And what you'll find is like a domino effect. And that actually was one of the ways that I landed Ed Mylett on my show, which changed everything.
Got you. So what is the attitude that people need to have when trying to go to get these opportunities? Because you just moved through the room and you walk through like you own everything. Don't you?
Facts. I appreciate that. I think the attitude you got to have, it's almost like you have to find your gift. And I think about that person right now that's working the job because that was me. And one of the things that helped me tap into that gift is I paid attention to what they were saying on the job reviews at the end of the year. So I had this boss, he was like, yo, your connections, the way you speak, the way you reach out to people, it's just so natural and people want to rock with you. And I said, oh, man, he just told me what I'm good at. So I think you have to find out how can you approach a conversation and think genuinely, all right, who's the right person that Shans needs to meet, right? Or who's the right person that they need to be working with and kind of see it for them. And a lot of times what I'm finding out is, like, the person may not see it yet, but eventually they will. And when they do, that's when you look like a genius and you can walk through the rooms like you own the place.
I love it. I love it. Jess, I think it's important that people understand your story because you went from working a job to asking people for $30,000. Yo, the story was incredible. So if you can kind of share your journey of how you got to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a nonprofit director for a national nonprofit. So I was already the voice. I started my own podcast in 2017. And within 6 months, it went viral-ish. And when I say viral-ish, not David's type viral, it just, for me to have 1,700 followers at the time, I got a lot of people DMing me. I was getting like 6,000 downloads a month. And I was like, this is some traction. And I did what you said to do. I reached out to a pretty big influencer at the time. I was like, okay, I got some groundwork going. I got some momentum, so let me hit her up. She had 200,000 followers. I had 1,700. 3 months later, she hits me back. She's like, yes, I'll be on your show. No problem. Let's set it up. We set it up. We do the interview. The interview comes out. A week later, I'm still at my corporate job, and she DMs me, and she's like, call me now. And I call her, and she's like, what did you do? And I said, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm getting nonstop tags, mentions over this interview. And I was like, well, it's probably because you have a lot of followers. And I don't. And she's like, no, you don't understand. I dropped a podcast 4 months ago and I'm not getting this kind of traction. What are you doing that I'm not? And I was like, I don't know. What are you doing? And she told me, and I said, oh, well, you did it wrong. I can fix it though. And I literally set out to do it for her as a favor. And I fixed it in a week. I downloaded all her stuff, fixed it up. I had one part-time VA at the time. I said, hey, can you just do the stuff for her that you do for me? Gave it over to her, relaunched it, called her. I said, hey, it's done. 2 days later, she called me. She said, oh my God, what did you do? I'm in the top 40. I'm next to Joel Osteen. What did you do? And I was like, I just did what I know how to do. And she told me to send, this is my favorite part of the story. She told me to send her a bill. I didn't even have an LLC. I was still working a corporate job. So I'm like, how do you send someone a bill? Like, what does this look like? And I literally sent her a PayPal invoice. And this is the most, like, if you feel any shame around what you're doing and where you're at right now, I'm going to lay the foundation for you right here, right now. I sent her a $250 invoice. And in the notes section of the PayPal invoice, I said, if this is too much, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Because I didn't have a business at the time, I was just doing her a favor. I said, I can problem solve, that's what I do. And so I woke up the next morning and she paid me $1,250. And I called her, I FaceTimed her, and I'll never forget her face. And she was like, what? You calling me because you think I paid you too much? And I was like, I'm just calling to make sure you didn't add an extra zero or you didn't make a mistake. And she said, I've been trying to figure this out for 6 months and you fixed it in a week. She was like, please go do this for other people. And I started doing it for other people. And the goal has never been like, I wish I could be that person. It hasn't truly been about money. It's been about problem solving. When people get to this space where they know that they have a voice, they have an impact, they have a purpose, they can transform lives. Like, you know what your thing is, but there's something in your way. When you like, my job is to figure out what that thing is and get it out of your way. If you can get a substantial pain point out of someone's way, I'm sorry, but you can charge anything you want.
Clap that up.
I would agree with that.
Woo. We're going to get to what you actually fixed because I think that's important. But Brendan, can you it was so interesting. I was out in LA and we were working on actually like Podcast Summit and Neo hits me and he's like, yo, bro, you got to get with Brendan. I was like, why? And he's like, yo, he'll get you on any podcast. And I'm like, okay. So he starts sending me all these different podcasts. Some that are big that I just didn't know who they were. And I'm like, yo, this is dope, but I know there's some way he's making money from this because he don't know me and he's not a philanthropist. So I know there's something you're doing. But then obviously getting to know you, I realize you really are the connector for both the podcaster and a person that wants to get on the show. So how did you come out with this business model?
Well, first of all, he canceled last minute, just so y'all know. We got him on the show. He was all ready to go, and then he canceled last minute.
You know what's crazy? I forgot the amount, but I remember it was a lot. And I was like, and I had like some other stuff going on, but I was like, I don't want to pay it. However, I realized that if they're sending me that number, there are some people that paid it. And I said, this is a dope model. The fact that you got all these people and there's a number attached. Yo, you can get on this one, this amount. You get on this one, this amount. And I was like, oh, I see what he's doing. So, yes, I did.
Yeah, so number one, like all podcasts that are valuable don't necessarily have a high number. There's a lot of fire podcasts that don't cost anything. But obviously there's some podcasts you can move a little bit faster, get larger exposure that do have a ticket associated to it. But you have to have a product or service on the back end of that, or you need to know where you're going to send these people so you can potentially monetize them or at least get the data and maybe monetize them later. The reason why I found this as a viable opportunity to help people is because I had the same problem. You know, like I was struggling to get leads into my business consistently, get on different stages and stuff like that. You can have the most amazing product or service, but if no one knows you, then you're not going to sell it. Conversely, someone can have just a fire idea and get that in front of so many people, and they can sell that before they even launch the product. You know what I mean? So that's something that I needed. So basically, I just put the offer out there, I would say the day after Black Friday last year, and I sold 2 people 1 page. But it wasn't one podcast. It was helping them to get on, a bunch of podcasts.
So you charged the one person a certain amount to get on multiple podcasts?
Yeah, so I charged them. So at the time, it was one offer. It was like $7,800. And I can get them on 12 different podcasts. Now, it would range, obviously, for where they are, and if it's virtual or if it's in person. And another thing that we do, and that I was able to do really well, is I would find our number. So, like, let's say podcast A is $5,000. That might be the retail price. But I'll go in there and cultivate the relationship, build, plant my seeds, and then I'll have what would be, let's say, our wholesale price. So if you're a client, then if there's a podcast you want to go on that's paid, I'm going to cultivate that relationship and then get that wholesale price for you. So you're not paying what everyone else would pay if you just went in there by yourself. But then I also teach you how to optimize and maximize the opportunity, because a lot of y'all probably know, and you probably know as well, guests will come on the show like, yo, when the podcast dropping? And then drop, and they don't even promote their own episodes, right? So I teach people how to optimize that opportunity once the podcast comes out, because there's several different ways that you can then put that content out and have it go wide and deep, just post it and then that's it. A lot of people just post it and forget it.
For sure. Yo, think about this, y'all. So he charged someone $7,800 to get on other podcasts. Let me ask you, let's say I came to you with somebody, I said, yo, I got this dope person, they're doing this, this, and this. He should be on your podcast. From your perspective, you might be like, yo, I'm looking for guests anyway, right? Now y'all charge, all right. You be like, yo, let me get them on.
Yeah, I literally just did that. We was backstage, literally found this fire podcast. They shoot in the Win. You're familiar with that platform. In the Win, it's like this. It got the big board. It looks like a show. So there's another podcast on there that I literally just found earlier today. He doesn't charge at all. So all my clients that are sitting in there, y'all about to get on the shows in Vegas. But anyway, same thing. Doesn't charge. He's just looking for guests that have fire stories. That's going to bring value. That's not going to make it a boring show. So guess what? We cultivated our relationship. Now people need to know about that opportunity. So who are they going to come to? Probably one of us, because we have that relationship and we're doing the R&D in real time consistently. There's a fire show in Idaho or in Wyoming or in Nebraska that you never heard of because you're probably only listening to the same, 5 or 6 podcasts, which is fine. But just because you don't know it doesn't mean they don't have a super tapped-in audience, or they don't have a fire email list or text message list or a very active community, right? But people are only looking at YouTube numbers and not looking at all the value that comes with the podcast or the relationship that can be built, like the relationship that we're building, right?
Absolutely.
And you miss that when you only look like, oh, this is the amount. Oh, I don't want to go on that show because I only got 50 views. That's 50 views right now. Podcast episodes are evergreen. In a couple of months, it's probably going to have a couple of 100,000 views or whatever the case may be.
I love it. Jess, I want to come to you too, because we're on this monetization thing. How did you start to figure out how much you're charging to produce someone's podcast, and what is the service that you're offering?
Yes, so we provide full production, high quality, white glove service. And so by the time someone comes to me, the ideal client for me is someone that is usually incredible at their craft, typically outside of social media. They are serving clients, corporate companies at a very high level, and they're well known for a long time in their skill set, but they haven't been able to transfer that skill set to the internet. And they may have a following or some, they're already selling a product or a service, and our job is we start from the very beginning, the ideation phase. So they literally come to me with an idea. I feel like we kind of blow it up. We stretch it out. It's like, this is cute. That's a great name. Let's play bigger. And we literally go from idea to content strategy. We plan out all their content. We script write out all their content. So we spend 6 to 8 weeks planning an entire season.
Oh, wow.
And then we bring a podcast studio to them wherever they are. We concierge their guests in, and then we film the season. And then they walk away from that, and they are the talent the entire time. We have an agenda. Everything is set. There is a set. And then when they walk away, they are done. And in 6 to 8 weeks, the podcast launch, and it is 6 months of content on autopilot. Wow. All they have to do is market the content that we give them.
And what do you charge for that service?
Starts at $30,000 a season.
Starts at $30,000 a season.
That sounds like a deal, though, for all of that.
100%. To run your whole podcast?
Facts.
Yeah, clap that up. From going from working a job to saying how many people got really good ideas for shows? I know y'all do because y'all got 4 podcasts, none of them growing, but you're trying to work on all of them because they all good ideas. But you can have those ideas to somebody else that doesn't have the idea. They just know they want to start a podcast. So that is brilliant, actually.
That talent part that you just mentioned, like you talked about how this was you and you solved a problem. You talked about this was you and you solved a problem. Like I came out with a podcast and it did well, but Hala was just talking about that, how she went 2 years and it did okay. And when you kind of get to that space where you're like, I love this game and I love this sharing of content and I love the art form, you start to fall in love with it. You can help people with a different lens in a different way. And so like now when I'm working with people and they're like, oh my God, you're a genius. I'm like, I couldn't do this for myself, but I could do this for you. Like,
I love it. Sean, so walk me through your business model because I think you have a couple different models, if I'm not mistaken. So walk me through yours.
Absolutely. So I founded Pod Pro Max, which was really making podcasting easy. So there's 3 different levels with Pod Pro Max. If you're wondering, okay, how can I work with Sean? You know, in one of those levels, I thought about, okay, what was stopping me from actually doing podcasting? It was the editing, the videos, the putting it up, the uploading. So we have those 2 features, and we also have the feature of doing it all for you. But the part that I really get in my bag, that I think separates a lot, is when it comes to this talent management and talent development. The way I work with people is on the aspect of, yes, we'll bring you the guests. Yes, we'll put you on shows, but I'm also trying to get you a bag. I'm trying to get you in front of audiences. I'm trying to get you speaking opportunities. You know, I'm taking care of brand deals for you, and it's on a monthly retainer. And I'm so excited about some of the people that I've been blessed by God. Shout out to God, because he's really the one holding everything down. So, and definitely can clap for that. And one of the things that I'm really amazed by is the level of talent that I work with. You know, I manage Chrisette Michelle. You know, I manage Miss Skittles. I manage David Tyree, the guy who caught the football off the head to win the Super Bowl champion for the New York Giants. Anybody from New York in the building? You're very familiar with those names. So
why don't y'all just say, I am? It's always, yeah.
Yeah, man. So for me, it's really about understanding talent, developing, and also just the unique conversations that can happen if the right person is bringing it to you. You know, a lot changes if you have someone speaking on your behalf. You know, things can change in an instant. And also, I like to challenge myself sometimes to get really big deals done. You know, I'm probably one of the few people, I joke about all the time, we joke about it privately, I'm probably one of the few people in this room that has literally asked Chance for $1 million.
Yo, first off, he calls me.
Hey creators, when it comes to content creation, are you feeling overwhelmed because your videos are a drag? Maybe you're spending too much time editing videos when you should be working on your business. Your brand deserves better, and you'll need your time back. Introducing Podchop. We'll help you grow your brand and have more polished, professional, and consistent content. We will do everything. All you need to do is create and submit your raw podcast or short-form videos. We'll change your videos into more savable, shareable, and engaging content. Sign up now. Start getting amazing videos fast.
No, I think it was like a text. And he says, y'all got a huge opportunity for you. And I'm like, for me? He said, yeah, it's huge, bro. We get on the phone, and he sends me over like this this deck or something like that where it's showing like this big network or something that's going on. And I'm like, all right, so, yeah, man, I would love the opportunity. And he's like, yo, you can like pick one of the packages. Like, all I need is $1 million. Just, you put up $1 million, but it's coming right back, bro.
Break it down. How did you feel about the whole process? You said it was one of the best.
I said, Sean, I'm not giving you $1 million, bro. First off, how you know I got $1 million? I don't have $1 million, Sean. He's like, yo, it'd be a big opportunity for you. And I'm like, Sean, what made you call me and ask me for $1 million? He just don't care. He like, yo, did anyone buy it?
Yes, sir.
Word?
And Shan signed NDAs too, so.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Should have talked about that. My bad. Sue me. All right, so what are your packages, your 3 tiers and the
Absolutely.
prices?
So the great question. So to work with me, I always think about, okay, what was it like when I was really starting podcasting? So the packages, if you go to podpromax.com, the packages start at $1,000. There's a package that's $1,500. And if you're somebody that's really like, you know what, I see how he's moving, I see what's going on, I know what's about to happen, it's a monthly retainer, and that monthly retainer, it starts at right at $5,000 a month.
But what do you get for the 1,015? Just walk me through each.
Yes. So for $1,000, the Popro Max will take care of all of your video editing, all of your audio sounding. At the next level, at $1,500, what we do with a launch package is we launch your first 6 episodes. We also will publish it for you. We'll create the TikTok, the Instagram Reels, all that for you. And it comes with a monthly coaching session with me.
Okay. Oh, so the packages are $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, or starting at $5,000.
Correct. That's correct.
Got it. You guys are working with a lot of podcasts. Obviously, they come to you because there's a problem. What do you experience that most podcasters are dealing with? What's the thing that you see that, like, this is the issue? I'm going to start with you, Vic.
They don't know how to make money, man. I think that would be probably the main thing. I think they don't know how to monetize, and then just building up that muscle of consistency. Because, I mean, you identified it earlier. Like, there's a lot of people out here, unfortunately, they're going to be done after like 10 to 15 episodes. But it doesn't have to be that way. Y'all are here for a reason, right? So y'all going to keep it going, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
So that would be the main thing, like consistency. So, you know, Donnie had her workflow, right? Y'all got the cheat code. So, like, building a workflow, picking a day that you're going to release it. You know, I teach podcast launching as well, right? My podcast academy. So I would give them like the 4 Ps, right? Post, podcast, promo plan. So what do you do once it goes up? What's the 5 to 10 things you're going to do once the podcast goes up? Most people just post it and hope. That ain't going to work, you know what I'm saying? So you need to know, okay, what happens maybe before I post it, maybe 20 to 48 hours prior. Once I post it, what happens? You know, I would say with the monetization piece, know how you can make money with the podcast. So I would say if you don't have a product or service, I feel like one of the fastest ways you can monetize is through affiliate marketing. Because Sean got a product, he just told you about it. She got a product, Shan's got a product, right? We literally just, so if Sean has a affiliate that might be, let's say I don't know if you do have one or not, but let's say he had one and he was giving away $300 off that 1,000 or 500 off that 15. You have no fulfillment. You don't got to sell nothing. You got to fulfill nothing. And your podcast is going to market it 24 hours a day forever. So I would just sign up for Sean's affiliate, register. He could take it a step further and give you all the marketing assets. Now you don't even got to create nothing. He can give you the video. He can give you the audio. He can give you the live read if you actually want to create some content. You just register, plug that in, put it in your podcast. In mid-roll ad, end-roll ad, market it through your email list. Now, one person buys that, you don't have to make anything. Sean gets a new client, you just made $300 or $500 or whatever.
Can I have an affiliate just in case anybody buys something from one of y'all?
Listen, I got an affiliate right now.
You said yes? You said yes?
I got you.
You said yes?
Listen, my affiliate is $500.
I want a piece of that 30.
You missed that opportunity when I signed up. You should have said.
Yeah, look, she was smart. She said no. I already told him. Okay, so Jess, what are you seeing? What is one of the things that you see on a regular basis that podcasters are missing, an issue?
I wouldn't say missing, but I think to answer something outside of something that wasn't covered to help your audience hear that if you haven't started yet, I see so many people get stuck in the ideation phase. And it's like, they're so afraid to commit. It's like a marriage. They're like, might be the thing, but I'm not certain. And I'm afraid if I go with this, what if I go the wrong way? Or what if I change? Or what if this isn't who I want to be forever? The most beautiful thing about having a show that you own the content, you are creating your own media. It can evolve with you, just like your social channels. So whomever you are now, and you may be in 3 years, it can evolve with you. You can change it. Garner your audience, I swear they will go with you. So I think like the obsession or the fear that is, I'm too afraid to commit to something because what if it's not the right thing? Just do something. I started a podcast 5 years ago called The Stranded Phase because I was so afraid. Like I kept trying entrepreneurship and it wasn't working for me. And I was like, I don't want to hear about people's wins. I want to hear about when they cry on the floor. Like I want to hear what you do when you're stuck and how do you get out of it. And 4 years later, I was like, I can't come up with content anymore because I'm not stuck anymore. I'm where I want to be. So I've changed the name to Rich in Real Life because I feel like that's what my life is. It's everything that I consider rich.
I like that.
Let stuff evolve with you.
I love it. I love it. What are you seeing the biggest error that podcasters are making?
I would say there's not a mission attached to your show. And what happens is that if you don't have a mission attached to your show, you're going to be like, yo, you know what? I ain't got nothing else to talk about. I ain't got nobody else to talk to. You know, I think that is such a key, because you're going to have the audacity to care so much about the mission that when nobody's listening, you're still talking about it. And that's what's going to start to shift. That's what's going to start to change the game for you. So I always think about Schools Over Now What, which allowed for me to leave my job as a brand manager to do stuff like this. And it was all because I was excelling in corporate. I was promoted 6 times in 4 years. I had all these different things I was learning, but none of my friends knew anything. And I also said, hey, with this mission, you know what? I'm not going to be selfish. I'm not just going to talk to people that look like me. I'm going to go get the whitest of the whitest, the Asian of the Asian, the smartest of the smartest, and we're going to really understand, like, yo, how did they get to where they were? And that attracted people. And that title, School's Over, Now What? Everybody could relate to the mission. And so when I go out and reach out, I'm like, yo, Ed, I need you on this show. Or Trent Shelton, I need you on this show. And I go down a long list of people. They always like, yo, I want to be a part of that. So I think that's the key.
Incredible. I want to know, we got about 10 minutes. When you have a new podcaster, what are the first few checklist steps that you say, okay, this show is not going to succeed without these things? Who wants to start?
Ladies first.
Definitely clear branding. We have to solidify your branding. Everything has to be aligned. Who are you? Where are you? And are you this person everywhere that they go? Your name should not be Trevor on the podcast, but it is something YSL on Instagram handle. Like it all has to be aligned and it needs to make sense. And I want to solidify the messaging, like impact, objective. Is this a pissing contest? Are you showing off to your peers, or are you actually after transformation and impact? And who are the folks that you want to talk to, and how do you want to transform their lives, and how do we get to that initiative? So one of the things I do first, and a lot of my clients will be like, is this the first thing? Content. What are you going to talk about? Who are the guests you want to talk to? Because 9 times out of 10, every time, they'll be like, oh, I want to talk about motivation. I want to transform lives, I want to tell stories, and I wanted this. And then when we walk through 30 episodes, I'm like, all you talked about was fitness and health. Like, you don't want a podcast about motivation and impact. You want a podcast that is niche in fitness and health. And so I think mapping out your content is like a well over missed step, because you can really define how you want to start. And again, you can go seasonal and say, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to garner my audience. I'm going to have conversations in the DMs, and I'm going to see how this works. And then I'll make new decisions on my next season. Every large media company that we partner with and we've talked to has said that it takes season 2 or 3 before the podcast can garner any type of specific, like psychographic audience where they actually can understand who they're talking to. So what I'm saying is your first season is basically just the tryout. So like figuring out the content and putting your first season out there is not something you need to sit in perfection in. So content, branding, a powerful branding stance, I think. Who are you going to have conversations with? And are these conversations impactful? Like, what is the objective with these conversations? Because people come out the gate, I want to interview David Shands. I want to interview Donnie. They want everybody. And I'm like, why? Oh, you don't even follow them. You need to have an objective. Like, what kind of conversation are you going to have with these guests? And can you be enthusiastic enough for your audience to want to like them too? You should only want to talk to people on your podcast that you are excited about, so you can extend that excitement to your audience. Because they're going to trust you. They're going to like, know, and trust you, and they're going to go after what you believe in. You can't sell everybody on fake excitement. So like, who's your guest list? What does your branding look like? What is your impact? What is your objective? What is your messaging? And is the content something that you can really stand behind, or you just have a surface level idea?
Wow, good stuff.
I'll chime in on this one. This is where I would like take out pencil, paper, and start writing if I was in the audience. I always make sure that when we start off, it's a process I take everyone through. It's a 3-step process. The first step is called know yourself. So I want you to write down these 7 things. And I learned this. What do you want? Your mind, body, soul, family, friends, business, and money. What do you want these 7 things to look like a year from now? Then the next thought process is, okay, cool. What do you want these 7 things to look like 3 years from now? Then I want you to rank it in level of importance to you. So for some of my clients, it's money. They don't play about money. Some of them is family, right? But you have to gain this clarity on who you are and what you stand for, because the moment you cut that mic on, everything can change. You might garner an audience you never wanted to have. The second step, and I hope you guys writing this down or catching the replay. The second step is called position yourself, right? If you look down at the roster of amazing people that we've had on the show, you know, when I look at like positioning yourself, I help people go from being a fan of those they admire to being a peer. It's a process with that. Understanding, to Jessica's point, social media strategy. It's not that what you are doing isn't dope. The audience that you want hasn't seen you yet. So in positioning yourself, I show you how to do that. And then the third step, when we talk about this, is present yourself. Every time we talk, we're presenting ourselves. You know, I think about, 8 out of 10 black men who come from where I come from, in Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. Anybody out here from North Carolina? Gotta make some noise. So 8 out of 10 black men who come from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina are dead or in jail. But you're listening to somebody who's in that 20% that's neither of those things. And here's what I've done with my life. I'm on this stage and I'm blessed by God to make sure a lot of people are doing very well in what they're doing. But in presenting yourself, there's something unique about you. There's a story about you. That's something that gives you way more sauce than anybody that's on this stage or going to be on this stage. And I want to make sure that you're out there and you're presenting yourself through those 3 steps.
That's good. B.
So what I would say is make a commitment, number one. I think it's important. Most podcasters fail after, 7 to 15 episodes. So I think everyone out there, if you didn't launch a show, if you're in the middle of just starting your show, you should commit to at least the first 25 episodes. Like, you should look at 25 episodes like episode 1. So I would make a commitment. Second thing I would do is I would decide if you want to be on virtual or in person, but I wouldn't let that stop you. So you can just launch a show literally from, Riverside, Zoom, StreamYard. So decide, listen, I want to launch a show immediately. I'm going to do it virtually. Or you know what? I like sitting down and having the energy. I'm going to do in person. So make that decision. And third, I think every podcaster should be a professional guest. You want to grow your show. You want to make more connections. I think you should position yourself by also being a guest as well. And I think that's going to also help you accelerate the growth of your podcast.
Good. Okay, we got about 4 minutes left. So anything that you'd like to teach to add value to Podcast Summit, something that these podcasters need to understand, what would it be?
That's a really good question, man. There's so much I could teach, right? If it would be one thing, I would say make your presence known. Like, everyone's here. And I think I told Donnie in the back, right? I look at life like, does everyone remember Mario back in the day? Mario Brothers? Like, even no one remembers Mario, just us back here? Okay, cool. So one of the main objectives in Mario was he had to hit those question boxes, right? And something always great came out of those, right? Maybe a shell, some wings, right? A tail. The star made you invincible. You could do anything, right? So everyone in here, you should look at everyone or every opportunity that you're getting into moving in the future as a Mario box. So your business partner, someone that you could collaborate with, maybe an investor, maybe someone that's going to be a connector 4, 5, 6 months down the line. Take all these opportunities to meet somebody in your row, behind you, in the lobby, or just at lunch. Look at every single day, especially when it comes to like promoting your podcast or your business. I'm going to meet somebody new today. I'm going to meet 5 people today. I'm going to tell 5 people about my podcast. I'm going to tell 5 people about my business. If you operate like that moving forward, your business is going to grow and you're going to get referrals all at the same time. So if you make that a priority, whether it's for your podcast, your business, or both, you're going to have no option but to grow.
I love it. And let everybody know how to follow you.
So what I want to do is I want to give everybody an opportunity to be a guest on my virtual podcast. So text the word guest 213-410-4920. That's guest to 213-410-4920. You can be a free guest on my virtual podcast. If you want to follow me, it's at ITS Brendan Boyd. That's BRENDAN BOYD.
All right, give him a round of applause, y'all. Sean Anthony. Okay, talk to me.
Yeah, the one thing I want to leave you with to think about, especially when you think about podcasting, is the relationships, the connections. But most importantly, I think about one of my mentors. I'm blessed to have 2 mentors, one of them being Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles, and the other one being David Meltzer. And one of the things that David Meltzer has shared with me that I think everyone should really write down when it comes to connections and relationships, and that is be kind. He tells us a story all the time about when he was a ball boy. And he was a ball boy for the Lakers, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talked so much trash to him. He went home crying. He said, "Mom, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to do that at all." She said, "Hey, look, I want you to try again tomorrow." And he was a ball boy the next day for a different person who treated him well. That person was Dr. J. And Dr. J said, hey, look, son, come here. He signed everything for him. He said, you're doing a great job. Keep going. Well, years went on. And David Meltzer is one of the biggest sports agents of all time. And years went on, and he had to refer business to an actual athlete. Millions of dollars. People said, hey, look, who should we give this money to? He never made a call to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He gave millions to Dr. J. So when you think about podcasting, really don't underestimate the value of relationships, connections, be kind. And if you really want the help, you really want the sauce, whether you're a beginner, whether you're intermediate, whether you where David Shands is at, he needs to be a part of it, be sure to check out Pod Pro Max and follow me at Sean R. Anthony _. There's a lot of social proof.
I love it. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. All right, Jess, close us out, man. Give us some words of wisdom.
So stop worrying about going viral. 50% of podcasts do less than 153 downloads a month. So it is so easy for you to be beyond average. For you to be in the top 50%, all you have to do is more than 150 downloads a month. That is a piece of cake. People are so worried about going viral or being in the top 100. What David has done is incredible. What Sean has done is incredible. But we produce over 40 podcasts a month, over 75 episodes a month. And majority of our shows are not marquee shows. They serve niche audiences, anywhere from like 3,000 downloads a month to 25,000 downloads a month. But when you put those people in community, they can serve massive numbers. So you and a couple people in here get together and you have a podcast and you decide to form a network, or you decide to do some of those media buys Hala was talking about. You can leverage a lot. You don't have to have a viral podcast. All you have to do is focus on the people that you serve. You can start micro and get bigger, but focus on the people that you serve, focus on impacting them, grow that. That's all you have to worry about. That's it.
Let them know how to follow you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check out all of the shows that we produce at epic.co. We connect conscious listeners with conscious creators. The majority of our shows are all mental health and thought leadership. And you can check us out at epic.co, and you can follow me at Jessica Hurley _
I love it. Please stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Give a round of applause to Anthony, Jessica, and Brendan. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Damn, baby, all
Woo!
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Get it cracking in the club when you hit
Big game, ain't it?
drop it like it's hot.
That was good.
What's up, y'all? I'm standing in the middle of the street and I'm willing to risk it all because I want you to grow, whether through paid or organic measures. Over the next 5 days, the Audience Growth Challenge, we're going to be teaching you podcast guesting strategy, video marketing strategy, social media predictable viral creation strategies, the power of radio and digital PR. And these strategies are what you need to grow your business over the next 4, 6, 9, even 12 months to skyrocket your success. So if you want to join the challenge, all you got to do is click the link below and join the Audience Growth Challenge and join it as a VIP. Let's get it.